Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us on Fiction in Real Life. We're excited to see everybody. We have Heather B. Moore and Julie Daines and me, Jennifer Moore, and we're missing Jen Geigle Johnson, and hopefully she can be back with us next time. For our show today, we asked for your stories with crazy coincidences, and we got some great ones, and it was so fun to read it this week. And so we're going to start first. Julie, you have a story for us.
Yes, I do. This story was sent in by Maria, and honestly, I just about died. I felt so bad. But this is actually the story of her niece who chose to get married on Friday the 13th. And so here is how her wedding day went. I'm just going to I've got it on this paper. I'm going to check it off as I go because there's a lot that happened this day. So, first of all, the bridal photos prior to the wedding were so horrible that they literally had to fire the photographer. And then they had to try and find a new photographer. But luckily, since it was Friday the 13th, they were able to find one because I guess a lot of people didn't actually choose to get married on Friday the 13th. Okay, so then on their wedding day, the groom's ring went missing and they couldn't find it anywhere. They're like at the hotel, they think it got knocked off of the nightstand thing into the garbage. And then they thought maybe it went to the dump. So they all went to the dump and they're digging through the trash looking for the ring, which of course they never found.
Yeah.
So they ended up having to go to Walmart and buy just some cheap replacement thing so they would have something to exchange on that day. Then when they arrived at the LDS temple for the wedding ceremony, the bride's documents couldn't be found that she needed to complete the wedding. So that delayed the whole beginning process of the wedding. And then when they picked up the wedding cake, it looked terrible. Now, we're not saying this is the exact wedding cake, but it's just for your visual stimulation. But yeah, there's the wedding cake was terrible. They ended up cutting it in the kitchen and then serving it so that nobody would see it as a whole. The reception then was in someone's backyard. And as they were having the wedding reception, I guess the wind really picked up. And someone had to run back to the store and get like colored stones to put all over the tablecloths to weigh them down. And yeah, everything was blowing away, including the decor. And then after the reception, when they went to the inn where they were going to have their wedding night, the reservation was gone. So it wasn't in the computer system and they'd already paid for it, but it was gone. And then, of course, since it was Friday the 13th, there was no extra rooms, right? Because bad luck. So anyway, then Maria also said she can't even remember for sure if that is the whole list of everything that happened. But I mean, that's a pretty disastrous wedding day, in my opinion.
Right. I mean, usually
agree.
you expect one or two things to go wrong, but this is quite a few.
This
And they're
is
major things.
Yeah, major.
Like digging at the dump for the ring. Can you imagine on your wedding day?
I mean, it doesn't say, but I'm assuming it was maybe not the actual bride and groom, but maybe the family went out to look. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
Oh
yeah.
man. All right. So Julie, would you book it? What do you
Well,
think about
honestly,
that?
I feel like I would want to book it, but I feel like this is really one of those things where people would be like, that's too much. You went overboard with things going wrong. Maybe 2 or 3 I could handle, but this was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Wow.
So I think it would be fun to book, but it would be tricky. I feel like this story really embodies this whole fiction in real life, because if somebody really did put this in a book, people would be like, oh, that is too much. You went overboard.
Yep. What do you think, Heather?
I agree. I mean, I think it'd be fun to book a story like that. But like Julie said, I might have to just pick a couple of the things. But I do like how it is on Friday the 13th, because that definitely kind of brings in more of an ominous, and maybe we should have changed our date feeling.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know, you could play a lot with that. So
it would be cute to have this like as the beginning, and then, just kind of from there see how that trickles in throughout the relationship or something like that.
Or start out the first sentence like, I knew I shouldn't have married him. I don't know.
Yeah, something like that. That'd be cool.
I agree. I think I'd book it, but I'd probably have to take out a couple of the things that, just the idea of them at the dump. And it probably was like the wedding planner and the photographer, or you know what I mean? And the bridesmaids, and it probably wasn't the bride and groom, who knows, but.
Or it could be
Yeah,
like a
those would be
mystery, like a murder mystery where the groom or the best man sold the ring or stole the ring, or I don't know.
Well, that trope of just everything going wrong is one of my favorite rom-com thing, in movies and books. It's so funny, but it's not funny when it happens to you. So I'm sorry, Maria's niece, that was a bad, that was a bad day. I hope that
cute if like the best man and the best woman were at the dump looking
Yeah.
for the ring, and then that sparked a little new romance.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah, didn't that happen in Brooklyn Nine-Nine? They were digging through the garbage or so. Anyway, okay, we can move on to Heather has a story too.
Oh yeah, so this was sent in by Krista, and it's definitely kind of a once in a lifetime coincidence. So this was only a couple of weeks ago. So she was standing in a checkout line with her husband, and she's wearing like one of those concert t-shirts, and this one was for Matchbox 20. And so an employee just kind of stopped and said, "Hey, did you go to that concert?" And so they talked about it. And the employee said that he hadn't been able to go, but he wanted to go. So Krista was saying how much fun it was and how much she loved to see him live. And then he said, anyway, so then they were talking about concerts. And then the employee said that the best concert he ever went to was Fleetwood Mac. And the employee's like, "This is showing my age." And anyway, so Krista said, "Oh, I saw them in concert again, or two, but years and years ago." And he said that he had gone to the concert at, it said Gorge on George, which is in George, Washington. And that's where Krista had gone. And they realized that they had gone to the same one because they both remembered it was Stevie Nicks' birthday, and they all sang her happy birthday together. So they're just standing there in the middle of the store, like kind of freaking out on each other. And everyone around him is like kind of laughing at him because they're high-fiving. But Krista said it was May 26, 1990, when they sang happy birthday to Stevie Nicks. So 33 years ago, but now Krista and this employee, they're best friends. Anyway, so I grabbed a picture of Fleetwood Mac for those of you. And I think that's more of a current one because she's a little bit older in this picture. But I just thought that is so cool because my husband always gives my teenager a hard time for wearing these concert t-shirts because I guess you just find them on Amazon and anywhere now. I mean, they don't have the concert dates, but they have the print screen of the band on them. And he's like, "You can't wear those unless you can name their songs,
Oh, that's funny.
That's a cool story. I love those kind of things. I would definitely book it. I love finding out, that you had this experience and the same person did, like your next door neighbor happened to, go to the same high school as you, or, whatever, something like that. Yeah. I love those kind of things. What about you, Heather?
Yeah, I think it's fun to book those kind of coincidences because, it could be like a meet cute, even in like a rom-com or something, or it could be that there's some, you're writing a mystery novel and there's some connection and your Uber driver happens to have gone, to the same high school that your dad did, and you're trying to figure out some mystery or something. So yeah, I think it's definitely a fun story to build on.
What do you think, Julie?
I think I would book it. I think, like Heather said, it would make such a perfect little meet cute, or, just, I don't know, a fun way to start off a little story of some kind.
Cool. Good job, you guys. Yeah, I love
We're
those.
so kind. We're so conciliatory today.
Well, it's
no one's arguing.
We love everything. Yep.
Such a reminder when stuff like that happens, how small the world really does feel sometimes, when you're like, oh, because really, what are the chances?
Yeah.
Yep. So. Or you knew this guy back when, or you used to go to this store where, and that checkout guy would sing the funny song, or I love those. It's so fun. Yeah. Okay. If you think of a story that you think would go on our show, like a funny coincidence, or a weird haunted house in your neighborhood, or a funny tradition your your neighborhood does, or your town, or your high school, or your weird family, whatever. We love to hear them, and we love to read them on our show. So thanks for joining us on. We can't do it without Jen. Okay, fiction,
In
Real.
life.
life. We're all like trying to.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
See ya.